What up, Player Profiler Nation? Do you want to know about the second-year breakouts before any of your league mates do? Then you're going to want to check out this episode because today on the FutureCast, I have a very special guest. We're going through our top 5 second-year breakouts. I'm Matty Kiwoom. You can find me on X at Matty Kiwoom. While you're here, make sure you're subscribed to the Player Profiler YouTube channel. Smash that like button and leave in the comments who is your favorite second-year breakout candidate as we head into the 2025 seasons. So without further ado, let's get into it. So you see the man on the screen. You already know him. You see his face all up and down the Player Profiler content channels. It's my man, the Dynasty Key. Alex, what's going on, Key?
What's up, Maddie? Glad to be here, man. Hey, feel like I'm in the future. So I'm ready, man. Excited for the next season. It's just right around the corner. We got a couple weeks left. So good luck to everyone out here. And hey, let's make sure you don't let these guys slip through the cracks here.
You're right. Some of these guys are a little bit more hyped. Some of them have been a little bit forgotten about, but we got 5 players going into their second year that you must be ready to draft, trade for, however you want to approach it. But it's getting close to season time, and it's time to get these players on your team because they are poised for a breakout. Now, I usually let my guests go first, but I feel like the honor, I kind of want to go first if you don't mind, Key. Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it. Lay it on us.
All right, so the first breakout candidate that you must draft in 2025, trade for, however, whatever league you're in, get him on your team. Wide receiver from the San Francisco 49ers, Ricky Pearsall. You're hearing it in the streets. The drumbeat is getting louder with every preseason game, with every snap that Brock Purdy takes. We're seeing that connection develop. And, Key, you might not know this about me, but I'm the self-proclaimed king of bro science. And I love taking into account the the intangible, the unaccounted for, the stuff you can't smell, taste, and touch, the things, the kooky stuff. The fact that before the body was even cold, they gave Deebo Samuel's number to Ricky P. Was my first indicator that this guy is important to this team. And the guys in the locker room respect him because Deebo was a well-liked guy. He was a leader in the locker room. Second, he was traded. Boom, Ricky, take number 1. And no one said nothing.
I didn't even know that. That's just disrespectful of Debo and what he's done for that organization.
And you did, and Key, you are as dialed in and as plugged in as anybody in the space, and you weren't really you weren't seeing it because that's how okay with the Niners this was. But that's not why I'm saying Ricky P's breakout though. Come on. I got some stuff to back it up. I work at Player Profiler. I do stuff. I know Warp, okay? I understand these type of things. So I'm going to dive into a little bit of what makes me excited about the candidate. First, we got the intangibles out of the way. Situation, that kind of plays into the intangibles. It looks like there's a clear path for somebody to be the number 1 pass catcher behind George Kittle. Could that be Christian McCaffrey? My gut's kind of telling me they might try to limit his touches early to make sure he's around and they don't lose another season like they did last year. So the throne's there. Juwan Jennings, calf injury, maybe colleagues for a trade. Might seem a little late for that now, but the Juwan Jennings stuff is starting to damper a little bit. Of course, we know George Kittle will kind of keep cutting him out of the conversation. We know he's going to eat. He is just going to feast this year. Brandon Ayuk, they're talking about a return not until week 6. It's going to be there's going to be a lot of opportunities for targets and a lot of chances for a player to take those targets and maybe never give them back. And then when I look at Ricky Pearsall's performance profile from 2023 as 2024 as a rookie, there's really not a lot to sink your teeth into, right? Key, like, didn't have a whole lot of receiving yards, only 400, caught 3 touchdowns. But what I do get excited about when you look at the game log, he had some massive games, especially to close out the year. Now, I know week 17, week 18, especially week 18, most of us are done playing fantasy by then, but week 17, 10 targets, 8 catches, 141 yards, caught a TD. He was wide receiver 7 that week. He's shown it in spurts, and you kind of look at a few things in the analytical profile that is encouraging, I would say, for a guy who didn't really have the surface stats. He was number 1 in true catch rate amongst qualified wide receivers. He had a pretty good yards after catch per reception. Again, not a lot of surface stats, not a lot of volume there, but so we're really kind of trying to dive into some of the efficiency metrics and see if we get encouraged. And I do. I see right around a 9 yards per target, which is, pushes into that, pushing that wide receiver 2 territory. And now with the opportunity, with the skill set, kind of don't think about draft capital in their second year, but we're on the future cast, baby. We're always thinking about the big picture stuff, the things that go into it, trying to predict the future. Got that first round draft capital, baby. So I got a lot of love for Ricky Pearsall heading into his second year. Anything that
man.
grabs your attention with Ricky P?
I love it. He's got Brock Purdy coming in with a fresh contract, feeling good, and they have this whole offseason kind of knowing that Pearsall's got to be one of those guys. And the person who's making those decisions is Kyle Shanahan. And this is a coach that we trust almost more than any other in the league when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. So I'm totally good with just jumping in those waters. Don't even need to dip my toe in. I'm going all in with Ricky Pearsall, and I'm hoping for another one of those highlight reel catches that he had back in college.
Yes, sir. All right. Yeah, people have been waiting up there like Key. All right, zip the lip. We want to hear from Key. So it's your turn. Who is your first breakout candidate, second year breakout that you just want on your fantasy teams right now?
Keon Coleman. This is another guy who has some of those intangibles. You didn't mention it, but dog rating, man. I mean, this guy. I think the team is really trying to build something. You guys are watching Hard Knocks right now. The Bills are on there, and the whole team is coming together. But for Keon Coleman, they didn't draft any other wide receivers. Yes, they brought in Josh Palmer and they extended Khalil Shakir. They got some other guys, Elijah Moore, I like. I just think this is a scenario where Keon Coleman, he's primed as a second-round pick to take a step forward, big body, potential X role going forward. And you got the MVP on your side. Josh Allen, ranked first in EPA last year, expected points added per play at 0.31. And he was second in QBR, 7th overall in passing touchdowns, 14th in passing yards. I mean, look, again, also Kincaid is in there. There are threats for work, but I just think with what I've seen in the training camp this offseason, I'm thinking Keon Coleman's going to get a ton of opportunities. And you've got Josh Allen who can lift the tides of all the ships in that ocean around him. And I think really this is just a good situation for anyone to be tight ends. The team should be scoring a lot of touchdowns. Vegas has this team projected to be one of the top scorers in the league, especially starting off week one. So with Khalil Shakir right now banged up with a high ankle sprain, he's actually questionable for week one. That's supposed to be the number one wide receiver. I see even week one being one of the earliest points we see Keon Coleman have a breakout.
And for this type of prospect, we can't forget how raw, how green he was at even just football. I mean, this guy started his college career playing basketball at Michigan State. So it's going to take this kid some time to marinate, but the athleticism's there. And I agree with you. I think the breakout can happen right away because we didn't see it happen a lot last year. Really, there was no true spike week, I would say.
He did have that week 7 versus Tennessee, 125 yards. He ended up getting hurt the next a couple games after that. But the game right after that versus Seattle, he had a 70-yarder. It peaked at 7 targets. So I'm wondering, can we get 7, 8, 9 targets maybe, and maybe get to 6 catches? He really barely got to that point. So he just needs to get those numbers, those rookie numbers up, man, and he'll have a shot.
So I gotta pick up what you're putting down there. In week 7 and 8, we saw back-to-back 7-target weeks. But out of those 14 targets, we only saw 9 receptions. If he could bump those rookie numbers to 12, I know it's maybe a little too efficient, but the fact that he was able to cash in on 195 yards in those 2 games on 9 catches talks to the ability, speaks to his, what he brings to the table athletically. And when you got, the reigning, defending, the MVP on your team, you're looking for, and you bring up Hard Knocks. I love that. Hard Knocks is the best. Hard Knocks Key is the best.
Yeah, man. So Player Profiler's got him projected 50 receptions on 93 targets. So to your point, not very efficient. If he can do something about that, I've seen some drops in camp but I've also seen some highlights, man. So it's not one that I see anyone really on. That's why I went here with this as a breakout. Not many people are big fans. I think he's got the size and the quarterback to help make it easy for him.
Let's go. All right. So my next guy here, Kia, the only tight end on the list, a bit of a long shot, but we always get these Hail Marys from the back of the line, jumps up into the front. And I see a little bit in this game. I don't know how high he jumps, but I could see a big breakout here for Ja'Tavion Sanders, tight end from the Carolina Panthers. So we're going to talk about the offense as a whole. That's where I want to start because we're expecting, right, Key? We're expecting Bryce Young to have a pretty good year heading into year 3, heading into year 2 with, Dave Canales, the head coach that got so much out of, Baker Mayfield in the past, started to see flashes of it last year. So it starts with the quarterback. We're expecting big things. So if he's going to perform, if this team's going to get better, how are they going to do it? Are they going to do it in the running game with Chuba Hubbard? Chuba Hubbard seems more like a complimentary piece. I mean, he was good last year on volume. I expect to be good this year on volume, but you're not creating an offense that goes through Chuba Hubbard. You're just not. Now, Ted McMillan's there. Ted McMillan's going to be the dog. I think we can both agree. This kid's poised for a ton of targets, big catch radius. But after that, we're talking about Ja'Tavion Sanders, potentially, Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen going on the ripe age of 71, but still getting it done. So he is there. But Xavier Legette, who just has been really, really tough to see. And then there's another guy on that team, Jalen Coker, who I think we both like. But if the list of climbing the passing, hierarchy is just what I mentioned, a guy like Ja'Tavion Sanders, who was taken with the first pick in the 4th round of 2023, is athletic. He's got the size, 6'4", 245 pounds, 4'6", 40-yard dash, 4'6", 40-yard dash. It's a bit deceptive if I say 4'6". But last year, before he was turned on his head, he was starting to build some momentum. Heading into that London game where he was he got some big time targets. He was getting red zone targets. He got dumped on his head after that. The kind of season went out of whack, and he was kind of really not on the field, really not used. But there was a momentum build in the middle part of the year where we saw 12 targets over a 2-week span. Right after that, we saw another 6-target game, 5-target game, and we know at tight end, we're just chasing some touchdowns, maybe mediocre volume. I think this guy of Ja'Tavion Sanders, the skill set is there to warrant targets after Ted McMillan, to not only be maybe like a 3rd or 4th piece, but could very well find himself being the number 2, target earner in this offense. They didn't really bring much in for tight end. I think we all know what Tommy Tremble is, or more likely what he isn't. Ja'Tavion Sanders was a prolific, prospect coming out of high school, one of the highest ranked tight ends in his class, and he came out with Brock Bowers. So that's how highly he's been touted his whole life. Was, checked all the boxes at Texas with the receiving ability, the yak ability, and, led at the time it was the Big 12 in yak at the tight end position. His last year there. So the intangibles are there, early breakout age in college. And I think going into year 2, still just 22 years of age, we see a big breakout for Ja'Tavion Sanders.
Awesome, man. Yeah, love our guys from Texas. And you mentioned Tommy Tremble. That was a guy that the team liked, but Sanders ends up basically getting starter usage day 1, and they really seem to like him. And now in year 2, I just see wheels up, and don't hear too many people hyping this guy up as a potential top 2 target earner. I think that's actually realistic. They use this guy a lot, and he can catch the ball. That's kind of his calling card. So good pick there, man. So for my next guy here, I'm going with Trey Benson, running back out of Arizona from Florida State. Kind of a theme there with my last pick, also being out of Florida State. Trey Benson, we heard it this offseason from the coach that he absolutely wants to get both of these running backs the ball as much as possible. This coach, of course, is going to say James Conner is a starter, but the whole staff and management is saying Benson, this is his time. And we're in the preseason time frame right now. This guy leading the preseason games with not just receptions, not just rushes, but also receptions. I think he had a 20-yard reception last night. But he's in a situation where, yes, you've got a James Conner. This is a James Conner who has never finished a season playing all of the games. I even warned a friend, don't trade for Conner at the end of last season because Conner hadn't had the injury yet. And I was like, it's got to come because he's never gone through the whole season. He instantly gets injured right after the guy trades for him in the playoffs, and is Conner going to make it to your fantasy football playoffs? This is almost picture perfect league winner in Trey Benson. This is a guy with 4.39 speed coming out of college. So really good, not only breakaway run ability, but also good juke rate and break tackle ability is actually what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty excited about both guys in this offense. So if I'm taking Conner, I'm definitely handcuffing him with Trey Benson. And it's tough when this isn't maybe a breakout who just completely shoves James Conner out of the way like you would like to see, like how we had a Bucky Irving do for Rachaad White last year. No, it's not going to be that. We're going to need an injury. But at the same time, I see them train together in offseason. I see how much work Trey Benson's putting in. I think he's going to, at minimum, have a pass catching role out of the backfield. And hey, Conner doesn't make it through these seasons completely healthy, and he's only getting older. So I see this potentially being that year where he's a top 24 running back if Conner gets out of the way. Aside from that, Cardinals are 11th in runs per game. So they had that tendency. That's part of that identity. They brought in 0 other skill positions at all, not in free agency, not in the draft. So they're running the same team back. And when you have that rushing quarterback, there are times where I like to point out how, okay, yeah, you're getting vultured a little bit, but it's also opening up all kind of rushing lanes for you where the defense just can't account for Kyler Murray over here and Trey Benson over here, and I got Trey McBride in the middle, and there's just all these guys you got to worry about in that offense. So I can see some open lanes for Trey Benson, making it a lot easier for him. And he was out of the 2 running backs, Benson 4.6 yards per carry, Conner 4.4 for what it's worth. He's been better on a per touch basis.
Benson, I mean, this is a great call, Key, because Benson has the skills. We saw him coming out. We saw it coming out through the combine. We've seen it. Like, this guy is definitely very talented. And I know his rookie year was a basic dud, but he was the second running back taken off the board behind Jonathan Brooks in 2023. So we're not looking at a guy who's going to come out of nowhere. This guy's been listed as the heir apparent to the position, and it dates not only back to the offseason, like the beginning of this offseason, it dates back all the way to the beginning of the NFL offseason. At the combine, Monty Austinfort, the team GM, was asked about Trey Benson. He said the same thing you just brought up. They've been labeling these guys as 1A, 1B all offseason in all of their actions, which, I talk about this constantly, that why are we, don't let yourself get in the way of the decisions in what these billion-dollar franchises are telling you. They told us they were okay at running back. They did nothing to invest in this position because they know they have Trey Benson. And I'll say this, the king of bro science, self-proclaimed. Most authentic fantasy football analyst in the world. Another self-proclamation. I'm trying to do self-proclamations. It's a thing. I don't know. It's her podcast. I'm going to try it. Anyway, last year, Key, and you can attest to this, I know you've been playing fantasy long enough. Someone shut running back injuries off last year. That never happens. And if you believe in analytics like we do here at Player Pro, first of all, make sure you subscribe to the Player Profile YouTube channel, smash that like button. If you believe in regression and the law of averages and regressing to the mean, we're going to see a massive overcorrection in injuries.
Absolutely, man. And one of the things that's always rung true for fantasy is whatever you think is going to happen, you actually should decide what you think is going to happen and then realize that is exactly what's not going to happen. So if you think these running backs that you're drafting are going to be healthy because now everyone's drafting running backs because everyone was healthy last year, well, that's probably going to end up being a bust, to be honest. And we don't want anyone to be hurt. It's literally just that one of the most violent sports that we've got. So we're not going to be
Mhm.
surprised. So one of the other things really is just that I've just been seeing this new wave of the NFL. It happened at the quarterback position, just completely ushered in a new generation. I'm seeing that at the wide receiver spot, just all these guys being instant impact guys. And with the running backs, we did kind of have a slow year last year where not too many guys kind of stepped into those roles. But I'm thinking that this wave of running back in a new era is going to come where we don't have some of these old legacy backs anymore. So get ready to not see these big names and be ready for the Trey Bensons of the world.
Trey Benson, I love the call. Great call there, Key. We got one last guy. We got 4. We said we were going to go with 5 of our top, our favorite second-year breakout candidates. So we got one more left. So you're going to stick around for that. But before we do, let's hear from today's sponsor.
The world-famous Draft Kit is live, and it is this signature bit of content that we create every year to help you dominate your fantasy league. The most in-depth team previews you'll find anywhere, including signature trends and a lot of key stats on individual teams. Also, a 300-player cheat sheet for best ball, for seasonal leagues, individual cheat sheets from the top analysts here at Player Profiler. There's also video analysis and written analysis from some of the top minds in the industry. And we have all these new features like a Rate My Team feature, plug in your roster, and our AI tools automatically generate a draft score, as well as a whole commissioner guide. You have to subscribe to it to believe it. PlayerProfiler.com/draftkit, PlayerProfiler.com/draftkit. Get it now. Go win.
Matty Key Woom here with my man Dynasty Key, the future cast, talking about our 5 second-year breakout candidates, the guys you just need to get on your fantasy team. 4 down, 1 to go. Let's dive into it. The only quarterback on the list, second-year breakout, Michael Penix Jr. Sorry, I saw the clip of the news thing, and now
CBS, right?
and now I will be having to, take a second every time before I say Michael Penix Jr.'s name because it's just going to be in my head that way. Anyway, the second-year quarterback is his first year as starter. The expectations around Penix is not all that high. I think people are excited, but because of the quarterback position right now in fantasy, he's just not really being brought up. We're finding him in the ranges of QB 15, QB 20, on Dynasty right now, and Sleeper right now, he's QB 18 in the marketplace. So he's just kind of an afterthought. He's a QB 2 in Superflex. He's really not considered a starter in 1 QB. But I think he is poised for a massive breakout because not only is this the type of quarterback that can throw some more, there's weapons to catch those passes. There are offensive minded, kind of not offensive minded players. That's kind of redundant, but there are players that match up with the offensive minded coordinator that I see getting a ton of targets and a ton of really strong passes from Michael Penix. So let's talk about the team. That's where I want to start, Key, because for a non-rushing quarterback, we need touchdowns, right? He's not going to run the football. He's not a guy that's going to do a lot with his legs. So we need touchdowns. Can we bet on touchdowns? I think we can bet on touchdowns. Last year in 5 games played, he only had 3 touchdowns. So you might be saying, how are we going to see touchdowns? There was a slow ramp up. And if you watch the documentary we talked about, Hard Knocks, another documentary, Quarterback, you kind of saw behind the scenes of the transition from Cousins to Penix. It was a rocky one. It was an abrupt transition. So it took him 3 games to get comfortable. So yeah, he might have played in 5, but in 2, he only had 5 attempts total. So it's not like we can count those. In the 3 games in which he had, over 20 attempts, he was in the game plan. He was able to game plan throughout the week. We saw a nice progression of passing yards, 302 or 202, 223, all the way up to 312. His yards per attempt went up, finishing with 8.2 in that last game, and he had the 2 passing touchdowns in Week 18 against Carolina, a game of which that was pretty back and forth with divisional opponent. And now you talk about, Drake London going into the second year of this system, Darnell Mooney, second year of this system, Kyle Pitts still plays football. He Kyle Pitts is a football player, so he will be on the field. But even we saw, splashes from Ray McLeod last year. And then Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. This offense is ready. Yeah, hook 'em, baby. Two Texas references.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hook 'em, baby. We're going to see this offense take a massive step forward. And I'm still kind of wrestling with some of my bold predictions, in the content game. You and I, we there's always this, we got to have our bold predictions ready to go. And the one I've been tooling with, so I'm not going to necessarily say it, but I'm going to reveal it. I'm going to pull back the curtain on a take I'm developing. That Michael Penix Jr. might lead the league in touchdown passes next year.
Ooh, that's hot. I like it.
Indoor team, soft schedule, good offense, weapons that we're all clamoring about. Again, Kyle Pitts will play.
Yeah.
He plays. I love Michael Penix. I absolutely.
Yeah, man.
He has been a player of mine that I'm grabbing at the end because, the future cast, we cater to the Dynasty crowd. We're talking about the young players. We're talking about getting ahead, seeing the future, and getting to these players and grabbing these players on your team before your league mates, right? That's what we do here. But the quarterback position has become so still in these 15 to 20 that they're almost lumped into the same value system. And I think Penix has a chance to really kind of explode above that. So anything you want to add on Michael Penix?
Yeah, this is exactly what I mean when I say the new generation of the NFL. You get Kirk Cousins out of there, and that was the final piece because now everybody is a couple years into the league, whether it's Bijan or the receivers, and they're all basically in their prime. Sure, Penix is kind of NFL new, but he's an older prospect coming in, so I think he's as ready as any of those other guys. So this is wheels up in 2025 for this Falcons offense, man. I think Penix has everything tools wise that he needs. And when you talk about best supporting cast, a lot of people are mentioning JJ McCarthy, but we're seeing Bijan go in the first round of drafts, Drake London going right there in the second round of drafts. He's got some weapons too. So I'm all in on Michael Penix Jr. And you kind of were alluding to it right at the beginning with the quarterback position. Yeah, it's become more of a focus on the rushing quarterbacks because at first you only had maybe like a Lamar that you could think about in a Josh Allen, but now you've got all these other guys coming in that can run all over the yard. So Penix doesn't fit that. But at the same time, if you're able to get there in a Joe Burrow-esque way with the passing volume, I absolutely think you can get there. And when you look at the division, you've got a Saints that took the Eagles championship OC, Kellen Moore, who's the offensive guru. That may make these shootouts. Saints actually opened the season with a couple 40 burgers last season without this guys, and I think they've improved. And then you've got the Panthers, who we mentioned, they're improving. So this whole division, and I didn't even mention the multiple-time winner Bucks, who they can put up numbers. So I'm seeing shootouts left and right in the division, not to mention the rest of the league. So they're going to have to come with it, and the defense has not been good over the years. They've got some pieces they're trying to emphasize. I think this was the first draft where they emphasized defense
big time
in a while, but all the past like 3 drafts, it's just been offense, and now they're ready to unload.
And they, in a weird way, they built their defense to cater to a high-scoring offense. Like when you get the 2 edge rushers that they grabbed in the draft, you're hoping that your offense scores, causing a lot of dropbacks on the opposition, and then you just let the dogs pin their ears back and get after with Walker and Pierce. So they didn't do a whole lot to smother opposing offenses. I think they want to just play fast-paced arena football. And I think that's going to be great for Michael Penix. So there it is, our 5 through 1, Ricky Pearsall, Keon Coleman, Jatavian Sanders, Trey Benson, and Michael Penix Jr. But wait, people at home might be taking score here. Key Woom had 3. The guest Key only had 2. This guy sucks as a host, right? Wrong. We got a bonus player. So Key, hit him with the bonus breakout candidate of 2025.
Jalen Coker. Yes, that Jalen Coker. Shout out to Chev. Man, we've got this guy coming as an undrafted free agent in 2024 and pretty much being able to contribute right away. because this Panthers team was looking for answers. They're bringing in Xavier Legette, who they traded up for in the first round, and he really, I saw it very quickly. He wasn't catching balls that were thrown his way. He's dropping a lot of stuff, and they're leaning on an undrafted free agent Jalen Coker and the veteran Adam Thielen in that past season. This year they go in, yes, they get Cetero McMillan, who looks awesome, and he's going to be the guy. I just still think the wide receiver 2 battle is gone from, okay, it's Legette and we'll see who can jump in. No, it's it looks like Jalen Coker could potentially be the wide receiver 2 for the Carolina Panthers. And I'll admit I was wrong on Bryce Young, or I was out too early on Bryce Young. But right now you're seeing the mental makeup that this guy has. And I still hate remembering the game he had against Texas where him and Jahmyr Gibbs were lighting us up. But I didn't see that in his early years in the NFL. But this past year, after getting benched and bounced back, Bryce Young looked great. More time in offseason to just get better, gel with this team. And Jalen Coker's been out there making plays this offseason. I do still think these other veterans like a Thielen will mix in, but at the same time, it's not anything where you're talking about the future. It's not an Adam Thielen or Hunter Renfrow, and I'm concerned with Legette. I saw a good pass, a catch from him the other day. He's just not consistent. Jalen Coker, he has been really consistent, and with Bryce Young ascending, I think Coker is going to be maybe the number 2, maybe the number 3. If you're right, and Jatavian Sanders is that number 2 target. I just absolutely think Coker's going to be on the field in potentially 2 wide receiver sets, but 100% in 3 wide receiver sets. Coker's on the field, and he's going to get a ton of opportunity. Currently going at wide receiver 69. I think he's got room to rise there, man. So if you need a nice flex piece, got to get Coker as bye week fill in, whatever you need. Coker, he's got your back.
The thing about Coker too, the price of it, the barrier of entry, the price to get in on any Jalen Coker in your fantasy was so minimal. So if there isn't necessarily a whole lot of spike weeks, it's still worth the gamble, because like we've talked about now with 2 of these breakout candidates, and it's a big equation in trying to find these type of breakouts is the path to relevancy, the path to production, the path to volume. And like we mentioned with Jatavian Sanders and now with Jalen Coker, there is a path to relevancy. There's a clear path to a player, ascending in targets. A guy last year that did have a number of games that the offense felt comfortable going to. There was a stretch last year as an undrafted free agent rookie, 6'3", 8'6", 5'2", 7 targets throughout the span of his season.
Yeah.
When he's on the field, it feels like they're comfortable throwing it to him. Now, I think we're not chasing a ton of targets with a guy like Coker, because Tet is going to be that guy. I mean, all indications suggest we could see 125, 130 targets going Tet's way. But could we see Coker's numbers go from, about 4.5 targets a game to 6? I think so. I definitely think so.
Yeah, man. And it's going to be Bryce Young dependent, but you can see it in that stretch you're talking about. The snap percentages were way up compared to the rest of the season, and he had a 100-yard game in that stretch. So let's see how it goes in year 2 with Jalen Coker, Bryce Young, and the Carolina Panthers. We've been talking about it. We were just talking about that division. Again, I said it was going to be a shootout left and right, and I think the Panthers are right in that mix. They're you can't call them a Super Bowl team, and it's hard to call them a playoff team, but they have a real team, finally after all these years.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely progressing towards something. In the NFC South has a chance to be just fantasy gold with all the warm weather indoor teams. Every single one of those teams have offenses, or either they've shown that they have offenses that can produce at a high level, or that they have the personnel that they've brought in to develop a system in which they score points at a high level. So I like to call Coker. And again, the price to get in, the investment in Jalen Coker and Dynasty right now is pretty minimal. So take the shot, see if it happens. And when it does, find my guy, Dynasty Key, and say to him, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's it. That's the show. That's 5 second-year breakout candidates plus a very special bonus one. Key, tell them where they can find you. Tell them what you're working on, and go ahead and take the floor. Tell them where they can find more, Key.
Yeah, on X Dynasty F Key. And we're working on everything we can here at Player Profiler. We got a ton of content coming out almost every day for you guys. So go subscribe here, Player Profiler Now Plus. We're partnering with our other partner, the FF Dynasty. Hey, they just launched a redraft channel as well. Go subscribe over there, man. We're cooking up, man. I saw you had Cody Carpentier on here the last show. So go check out the draft rankings over there. Check out everyone here at Player Profiler, man. I'm kind of the behind the scenes guy, making sure we got all our stuff running on schedule, and you guys have been absolutely killing it. So appreciate your work and the whole crew here, and good luck to everybody this season. Win your leagues.
You pulled back the curtain. I'm going to go ahead and kick it thing down. You don't just deal with the inner workings. You're the guy that makes all this go. Your talent behind the scene is even more impressive than your talent in front of the camera, which is saying a lot because you're very talented in front of the camera. So, Key, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for dealing with all my BS emails at any time of the day or night. Thank you for helping me keep me guided, keep me on the straight and narrow. So thank you for that. But also, everybody, thank you for tuning in, tapping in, watching the Futurecast. Make sure you're subscribed to the Player Profiler channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the Player Profiler Now YouTube channel. Make sure you smash that like button. Go ahead, leave in the comments. Who are your favorite breakout candidates for 2025? I'm Matty Kiwoom. You will see me next time. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.